This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
You know, when you talk about the Dolphins, and we've had all these issues over the years, and one of them has always been on the offensive line, and we've been wondering, hey, you know, when are they going to shore up that offensive line? And, you know, today we're going to get to talk to Solomon Kinley, talk a little bit about that. You know, he's one of 3 Georgia players that got drafted with Andrew Thomas and Isaiah. Both tackles got drafted and the guard. So that obviously, you know, there was some high praise for this offensive line, that they did a really good job playing at the best, you know, conference in college football in the SEC. And Solomon looks like a character. You know, and if you start now, you got a hard worker apparently in Kinley, right? And Robert Hunt apparently is a hard worker. Austin Jackson obviously is a hard worker and has got a lot of heart, you know, with the bone marrow and everything, and bouncing back, you know, giving his sister the bone marrow and then still playing the entire season. And that had to have taken something out of him a little bit, where he probably wasn't at his best all year long. So there's a lot of character in what they're doing. And, you know, one of the things that I love about what the Dolphins are doing is that they attacked this and they said, okay, look, first of all, let's tear this thing down so we can reconstruct it the way we want to do it. And Chris Grier learned a lot in the rebuild, because he, instead of doing the patchwork thing, which is what every other general manager has done, is patchwork, you know, and then you're never really putting your stamp on it. And that's one thing that you can say right now, that this team and this front office and this coaching staff is putting their stamp on it. And their stamp is, they went and acquired Danny Isadora and a couple of other guys right before the week of the season starting. They brought in 3 guys. Isadora was one of them. Well, he's back, right? They go and draft Robert Hunt. They drafted Michael Dieter last year. They draft Solomon Kinley this year. They go sign Eric Flowers in the offseason this year. They extend Jesse Davis, okay? Even Deion Calhoun is in the mix there also on top of all of that. So, I don't know, Calhoun was one of those guys that was a little bit of an overachiever, but then kind of ran out of gas and kind of had to adjust to this level, which is a little harder, as you all know. And so I love how they go, look, we're not going to win a damn game if we don't dominate on the lines. So now you've got a whole bunch of guys now on the line. Now you've got their stamp, because these are all their guys. Pretty much, right? I mean, Flowers wasn't here. Solomon Kinley wasn't here. Michael Dieter wasn't here. Robert Hunt wasn't here. Danny Isadora wasn't here. Jesse Davis was the only one they inherited. Robert Hunt wasn't here. Deion Calhoun wasn't here. You know, so you start looking at all those guards and centers that they have. And look, Hunt, I know, will be started at right tackle. So maybe you have your right tackle, which would become one hell of a find if that guy becomes your right tackle, which is really, really cool if you're able to convert him. And just to give you a little nugget, I don't know if you know this, Solomon Kinley played left guard, right guard, and center. Remember how they like versatility? They like guys that can play multiple positions. Well, Kinley's played center in both guard spots. So he has already trained his body and his mind to habitually do everything right side and then habitually do everything left side. Because it's really difficult. Because you got to understand, when you switch from one side to another, you have to retrain your body, because everything you do now is completely opposite. You know what I mean? And so that's why it's a challenge for some guys. It's not as easy as some people make it out to be. Oh, no, you'll switch them. No, man. I mean, notice how any of us are. You have a stronger hand than another one, right? You have one that, because you use it more than the other. So it's just the way it is. And so habitually, you got to then change your habits, and you have to think naturally to one side or the other. And so Kinley has been able to do that. And so I'm looking forward to having that conversation with him. But again, it just shows you that these guys know what the hell they're doing, because they knew that they had to put their imprint on this team and change the way they go about football here. And one of the ways that we have not seen this team actually win is at the line of scrimmage. And we have to go back to win on a consistent basis. On the D line, we have to go back to the Jason Taylor, Tim Bowens, Darryl Gardner days. You weren't dominating on the offensive line, but you were dominating on the defensive line there. Now, they haven't had the combination of dominating O and D in forever. And so now they're trying to get to that point. Guys like Solomon Kinley are going to bring that. And we'll find out. We'll talk to him a little bit because obviously, he fell a little bit in the draft, and that's because a lot of people feel like he can play in a phone booth but can't play in space. So we'll talk to him about that, about playing, having sometimes to play in space, getting to the next level, those kind of things. How's that adjustment going to be for him also? So, there are things he's going to have to work on, but there are things where he dominates in. And obviously, the guy that's right in front of him, he knows how to maul. And it's going to be a lot of fun to watch because Kinley comes with this attitude. Hunt comes with this attitude. And I like that. I like that in the linemen, and I like the idea that you've got a bunch of guys now that can compete against each other, and then you've got depth. See, that's the other thing. It's if Kinley doesn't beat Dieter, it doesn't mean that Kinley is a disappointment, or if Dieter doesn't beat Kinley, it doesn't mean it's not a disappointment. If both are playing well, you now have depth. And that's the other thing. Let's not make it sound like you only need 5 guys. Okay? So that's why I'm glad they spent another pick on a corner. Because it's just 2 elite corners are not enough. Not in this league. Not the way they pass. And they know it. They see it. They know what this league is in. They went and got themselves what they feel is another elite corner on their team. Because I like Bobby McCain. Is he considered elite? Probably not. You know what I mean? I like Nick Needham. Is he considered elite? Probably not. But this kid has got potential to be that. And that's in their eyes, they're like, okay, well, we got to stop people from passing the ball. We got to rush their ass. We got to get after the quarterback. Let's go get some pass rushers, and let's get some corners. And they went and signed the best corner in free agency, and they went and drafted another corner. That's addressing the issue. Not going to be easy to pass on the Dolphins. Now, what I want to see is I want to see the Dolphins run on people. That's going to be a lot of fun because, look, we could go back and remember Ricky Williams and remember Lamar Smith recently. Okay, I don't want to go too far back because then I've got a whole bunch of a generation that's not going to know what the hell I'm talking about. They barely know what I'm talking about as it is with Lamar Smith and Ricky Williams. 4
or 5 game run of Jay Ajayi.
Right.
That
1,100-yard season.
Man.
Yeah. That 1,100-yard season. But again, that wasn't a dominant line. You know what I mean? The back then there were better players and they weren't dominant, but they were better players.
You're talking about just manhandling.
Yeah, man.
That line of scrimmage.
Yeah, because we're so hung up on the running backs that you can make the running back a really good player if your line is mauling people up front. And that's the job for Solomon Kinley and Eric Flowers and all these cats that are here. And I love the fact that you've got, a bunch of dudes that got attitudes, a bunch of dudes that are going to be competitive. And it looks like there's a way more talent now there than there has been in the past. So now it's a matter of molding it. It's a matter of finding out who starts and who becomes the backup players. But what I like is the Dolphins have the possibility of developing starters and quality backups. And I'm not going to be the guy that's going to be all hung up on, well, man, Solomon's starting, Dieter's not. Dieter's starting, Solomon's not. I don't care. I want to know that both are playing well. You know what I mean? That's what I want to know because that way, if Solomon goes down, Dieter fills in. If Dieter goes down, Solomon fills in. All of a sudden now you feel a lot better going into games. You don't have 5 linemen. You have 6 or 7 linemen easily. That's really nice. You got the swing tackle that can come in. You got a guard that can back up. Maybe a guy that's a center. Like I told you, Solomon Kinley's played a little center. So don't be surprised if they use him at center in practice.
Well, think about it. In the course of a season, man, how many teams have their 5 guys from game 1 to game 17 start? It happens to maybe
impossible.
1 or 2 teams.
Maybe.
That's it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, the Falcons.
You almost have to think that somebody's going to go down in the course of the year.
The year they got to the Super Bowl, their entire line was intact. And then it went down in the Super Bowl. They lost a guy or two in I think it was the Super Bowl where they lost one of them.
The Denver line back in the day that helped them win the Super Bowl with Terrell Davis.
Yeah.
And I think the Pats a couple times have been
You always need the
fortunate
breaks.
enough.
But if you don't have the breaks,
Right.
you need the depth.
Yeah.
You know, so it's
You got to figure on your offensive line. You're going to go 7 deep probably in the course of the year.
I know what's coming, dude. I've been in the media forever, and I know how fans are, and you're going to be short-sighted about it, and you're going to wonder, well, wait a minute. Like I told you, they spent this pick on Dieter. They spent this pick on Solomon Kinley, and one of them isn't starting. That doesn't mean it's a failure. It doesn't. If you see that both are playing well and they gave one the starting nod, now you got quality depth. And, my friends, that's what you need in this league. You got to have another guy. You got to have a couple of other guys.
I was going to say at least one.
Yeah, a couple.
And probably 2.
Because you need a guard center type backup, and you need a swing tackle. Guaranteed at least those 2.
At least those 2, yeah.
So you really need 8 because normally you don't have a guard center backup.
Well, what happens, I mean, if you have
Usually
somebody.
have a backup guard and a backup center.
If you have somebody go down for the year, you know what I mean? That's where we go to 8. You need that because then you need that backup guy to slide to the one spot, back up, and there's another guy got to be behind him because
Got to have it. Got to have it, and that's the one thing that I see that they're trying to do, and let's hope they accomplish it. You know, that's all. Now we just got to sit back and hope that they can accomplish it. And
so going in, we're asking for basically 8 guys from the offensive line, 5 starters to emerge, and then 3 backups.
Yes, at least.
That's what we want.
Yeah. You'd love you'd love to have 2 or 3 guys that are right on the brink of starting. You know, so that way they're hungry, they're there, they're prepared, and you've got a lot of depth. If we just get to 5, that's great for us because obviously we haven't even had 4 good linemen on our 3. We haven't even had on our team.
Oh, let's be honest. You got to go back to Sims and Webb.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
You're talking 15 to have a solid 5.
Yeah. It's been forever. You know, so that's where all this stuff changes, and I can't wait for camp. I can't wait for them to start doing all of this. The only thing that's going to suck is, though, fans aren't going to be able to go there, so you're not even going to be able to watch camp either.